Her. Bold. Brave. Her. With Dr. Pam Peak.
Hi, I'm Dr. Pam Peak, and this is episode 537 of the Bold and the Brave, Her podcast. Now, today I could just fall to my knees with joy. I'm going to be introducing the world to two wonderful, wonderful people from the world of women and sports. And one in particular, you probably read about all over social media. You're going to be hearing about this. Who is this person? All right, we're going to dive right on in because I can't even stand my excitement here. So, we had the Ironman World Championship take place in Kona. Most of us watch this and go, why in God's name would anyone do this to themselves for X number of hours? Oh my goodness gracious. But it's so exciting. It's so incredible because you're taking your body out to the absolute max. Today, we're joined by Natalie Grabow, and she is the oldest woman at the age of 80 years, bold, not old, bold, to complete the Ironman World Championship just in the nick of time and absolutely blow away everyone who was there. And with shall we say, a stunning finish, which we'll get into in just a second. And Natalie, welcome to the Her podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm still kind of, whoa. Okay, we're going to be talking about that in a second. I'm also joined by Natalie's coach, and this is Michelle Lake, who's a former collegiate swimmer and conference champion at the, United States Naval Academy. Whoa. And I could just go on forever. She's done Ironman. She's done half Iron. She's all over the place. She is an extraordinary coach and athlete herself. And she was right there helping Natalie the whole way. And we have so many questions about this. So Michelle, welcome aboard.
Thanks for having me.
All right. How many interviews have you done already, Natalie? I mean, seriously, has everyone just gone completely out of their mind? I'm reading social media, and what I'm reading on social media is the following. An 80-year-old woman just finished Ironman in time. You have no excuse. It's all over Twitter or whatever, X and Instagram in the back. It's like, you have no excuse. An 80-year-old woman did this. Come on now.
I know, these poor people. They were so comfortable on their sofas. Now they have to get up.
Okay. And the other thing that blew me away, and I want to share this with everyone out there, okay, is the very fact that you break all the rules. You just do. Okay. So yes, you do. Don't give me that look. Because you and I had a little conversation, and oh my goodness gracious, did we learn things about your background and how you take care of yourself and how you nutritionally do your little thing for Ironman. So I'd like to start out real quickly, first of all, and ask Michelle. Michelle, how long have you been working with Natalie?
Since I looked it up, January 1st, 2024.
Okay, there you go. And were you kind of like, wait a minute, how old are you? And you're going to do what?
Strangely enough, one of her really good racing friends, Marge, was one of my athletes, and they're about the same age.
Exactly.
But I approached Marge like before COVID, so a couple years ago. And when Natalie was in search of a new coach, she came to me because she was friends with Marge, and Marge had worked with me. So we have actually worked with a couple 70-plus-year-old. We had an athlete that just finished third in his age group in the 75 to 79 age category in the World Championships for short course triathlon in Mooloolaba, Australia. So we had our coaching companies worked with a few, but yes, Natalie is, not to diminish what Natalie's doing, but we've worked with some older athletes and had success. So that's how we met, right, Natalie?
That's right. March.
Fantastic. And for everyone out there who may not be aware, no one yet had competed in the Ironman World Championship in Kona in the women's 80 to 84-year-old, because, all of this is, age stage. So it's 80 to 84. So Natalie decided,
Well, somebody had competed in that age group twice, but didn't make the cutoff.
But they didn't finish it.
Right.
And you were the very first to complete it.
Right.
And for everyone out there, you complete this, you have to complete it in 17 hours. All right. And otherwise, they don't do that little, you're an Ironman, at the end. And there you have it. But you did it. What was your time on this Ironman?
16:45:26.
Okay, so there was no breathing room.
Well, yes, there was.
I'm playing with you. And the reason why I bring that up is because I'm going to tell you what happened. I've been following it since I saw your Ironman interview when you were over there in Hawaii, and you're just hysterical. I just loved your attitude. And once I found out that you were a math teacher, basically someone who majored in math,
right,
and then went on to do, computer science work, I thought, okay, she sounds like one of them. So when the interviewer was saying, hey, Natalie, you like chumming up with all the people your age and whatever, and you said, no, why would I do that? And I just, wait a minute. And you just said, no, I'm just here to do my thing, just like real matter of fact. There was no like super emotion or like what. It's like, I'm here. I'm going to swim, bike, and run. That's what we're going to do. It was fantastic. Tell us about you and sports throughout your life. You're a little girl, you're in high school, you're in college. I mean, what's going on with you in sports? Did you just sort of pop out of the womb doing swim, bike, run, or what happened?
No, I think I was always competitive as a little kid. But we played outside. It was in the 40s and 50s where our parents said, go out and play. And we ran around and made huts in the woods and rode our bikes that were kind of hand-me-down bikes, and played just some games, and had swing sets, and did that kind of thing up through high school when one of the activities that was available for young women was cheerleading. So I loved cartwheels and had taught myself how to do that. So I was a cheerleader, and because we didn't have any sports in those early 60s. And in college, I just spent all my time studying pretty much. So I majored in math, and I did very well with my studies and got the job that I really wanted at Bell Labs when I graduated. So that was...
So did you do collegiate anything?
No, I did collegiate studying.
I love it. See, this is the first thing, many of my colleagues, call me up and say, oh, she must have been like, track and field and, she's out there.
Yeah, I don't think they didn't have that, in college.
Well, Title IX didn't happen yet.
No.
Okay. And hello, Title IX didn't happen yet. So everyone be happy that we have Title IX, for God's sake, and women can finally, get a little respect out there and some resources. The other thing too, as you did your thing with college, didn't you raise children and, once you started working and all the rest of it?
Well, I worked for about 5 years, and then I got married a couple of years after I was working, and we had 2 daughters. And then I stayed home with my girls, and one was a gymnast, and she really required a lot of driving with 4 hours a day training and back and forth and helping with homework. And then I coached my younger daughter's track group I didn't really know what I was doing, but I knew how to tell them to run around the track and stuff. So
Well, I'm a student of MSU, make stuff up. Okay. Just like, hey, I
Yeah.
don't know, looks pretty good to
right,
me, but
I know. And so I had fun with that. And then I had an opportunity when my daughter left gymnastics to go back to work. So I went back to Bell Labs when I was 43, and I had been playing tennis while my girls were little. And then I started running a little bit before that. And then when I went back to work, I had very little time between my daughters and the house and work. And I started running more often because it was something that I could do in a short time, go out for a 30-minute run during lunchtime or right after work. And so I was running more and then entering races, 5Ks and 10Ks.
what decade was this? Your 30s?
40s and 50s.
40s and 50s. So you had just sort of begun to run then, right?
Yes, my late 30s, I did like a start and stop. The weather would get nice, and I'd say, "Oh, I want to run," and then I'd run, and then I'd get injured, and I'd say, "Well, that was enough for that," and then I'd go the whole winter, and then I'd try it again, and then at some point I figured it out, and I guess in my early 40s I started running pretty consistently. Also adding classes at the Y, step aerobics, getting on the Stairmaster, and doing that type of thing.
I'm sorry, Michelle. This is sounding a whole lot like do it yourself. It's so interesting. So many of my colleagues in sports medicine, knowing I'm doing this interview, said, got to ask her, like what were her secrets? What kind of amazing coaching and amazing everything that she was doing, wild and crazy nutrition, and she had strategic planning, and and Natalie's laughing her ass off, and all I hear from you is like, I don't know, I kind of liked it, I don't know, figured it out, and
Yeah.
I mean, you broke every single rule in their minds that you're supposed to have some like incredible golden pathway, paved with strategic methodology all the way through. Instead, you just sort of, I don't know, kind of like it. Think I'll do it. No, that didn't work. And then on and on. Michelle, your thoughts about this?
So it's actually in triathlon is such a vigorous sport. I don't know if that's the right word, but we do see that some athletes, due to athletic age, Natalie's athletic age when she started triathlon, which we haven't gotten to yet, which is 59, 60-ish, was actually quite young. And I think a lot of Natalie's competitors, I'm pretty sure Marge was like this too, started later, started in their 50s or in their 60s. So, and we even see it with the pros. Some of the better pros, there was, and now I am blanking, I should know it, but there was they called her like the Swiss Miss. She won 4 Ironman World Championships. Do you remember who I'm talking about? Natasha? It was
Natasha Bodman.
She didn't start triathlon until her 30s and ended up, or late 20s maybe, but young, way later, but they have a younger athletic age. So their body's not beat up like, an athlete that started in their 20s doing it. So there is something to be said about that, and a lot of people burn out of Ironman. So if she had started doing marathons and such in her 20s, maybe she wouldn't be here right now. So that's one thought too. I don't know if it applies here, but I think her athletic age is young. So she had a lot of motivation and her body wasn't exhausted. Though I do think you started triathlon because you were getting injured a lot, right? Was part of it?
With running, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because running, and that's usually triathletes are injured runners. I mean, probably 50% of triathletes are runners that said, you know what, I have to cross train, and then, let's learn to swim, and biking's fun. So we find a lot of triathletes from there too. So yeah, Natalie's longevity may also just be because of her timing too.
I just think that is incredible, because the grand majority of people, I think that, you got to start as an embryo, and you just, you have to work it through. I recently had Chrissy Wellington on, who, she is absolutely incredible.
My favorite, yes.
Isn't she sweet? And she dialed in from the UK. We had a great talk. She's obviously a mother now, and I think she's about 48. And so she's kind of done with that, but she's moved on to be of service to her communities by the Park Run program that she's
Okay.
doing, which I think is fantastic. But, she tended to have been someone who skewed younger as they got into this kind of thing and sort of stumbled into the triathlon like everybody else does, including yours truly. So that's very cool. So there you were running, right? 40s, 50s. And then what made you think about triathlon? I mean, you're running, so.
But going back to Chrissy, she's one of my favorite people. She put a medal around me at Timberman 70.3 one time, and we registered at the same time in Kona one time. And she said something one time, which is just, I mean, she was a famous pro and I was just an age grouper, but she said she had a fire burning in her belly. Now, I've always had a fire burning in my belly as well. And I think to do well and to really love this, you have to have that little fire burning in your belly. And whether it's because I didn't have a chance to do it earlier and I'm still excited about the chance to do things now. And then one time when I was coaching my younger daughter in track, one of the very experienced track coaches said, "You only have so many races in you." And I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm thinking of the kids that do start early, that have an opportunity to start early. Maybe when they reach a certain age, they say, "Well, I've done this. I'm going on to something else." But anyway, that's kind of a tangent there. But
No, but it meant a lot, and I'm glad that you that you love Chrissy as much as we did, because she's an incredible class act. I work, as I think I might have mentioned when you and I were doing our pre-interview. I work with the Senior Olympics, and so this is a wild and crazy group where you have to be 50 and over. It just sort of like never ends. So we have 100-year-olds doing the 50 meter on track and field, and it's just kind of a wild and crazy group. But you said something, and Michelle, you said it too, and that is that many people never had the opportunity. They're raising children, they've got careers, and they got caregiving, and all kinds of things going on, and then at some point, they have an opportunity, and I think a lot of them develop that little fire in their belly, and they say, I always wanted to do basketball. So next thing you know, you're on an Olympic basketball team. Always wanted to do, track and field, swimming. Swimming's a monster. So in the Senior Olympics, we have a lot of a whole host of world record holders, and many of these people cross over into masters. And so we've got a wild and crazy group. So I'm going to get Natalie to come on over. Now, it's only a sprint triathlon, so don't make them feel bad as you sort of whiz right through.
no, I'm going to do the 50, I think, or the 100.
Oh, yeah. Do some track and field. I mean, I'm going to be there, so, it's going to be fantastic. So you didn't know how to swim,
No,
right?
Right.
When did you learn how to swim? I just love this.
So soon after turning 59, I started, somebody took me to their pool and said, "Okay, Natalie, which side do you want to blow bubbles on?" I said, "I don't care which side should I do that?" And so she had me, doing the blowing the bubbles and figuring it out. And it didn't scare me. I was out of breath. But then I went to the Y and I got in the slow lane, and I would, it was a big deal to make it down one length of the pool. And I would just keep working at it. And I would watch the other people, and they were so generous in their advice. "Natalie, no, your arms are going wrong, or your legs, or whatever." And I would get lots of advice, and I would read, and I would watch some videos, and just slowly get more comfortable.
There we go again. It's the do-it-yourself thing.
Yeah.
I just find that fascinating. Nowadays, people are like, "Oh, excuse me, I have to get my 95 coaches. So I've got one for swimming and one for this and whatever." And you just sort of get in the pool, go, "No, figure it out." It's just like with running, which is...
Yeah, I never had a coach up until then. When I said, okay, I think I can learn to swim, and but I don't know what to do. I don't know how much to do, and I don't know how much biking to do, and that type of thing. So then that's the first time I ever got a coach for myself as a triathlon coach.
That's fantastic. And so then you learned how to cycle. I imagine you did the do-it-yourself thing on the bike as well.
I mean, when we were growing up, we were always on a bike. So
yeah, but there's a tri-bike and then there's a tricycle.
Right. I remember walking into a bike shop. So somebody said, "Oh, you should get this kind of a bike, as your first tri-bike." I said, "Okay, I'll get that bike." So I remember walking into the bike shop and the owner greeted me, and he was so nice. I'll just never forget him. He was just, and I said, "I'm going to buy a tri-bike." I said, "I haven't done a triathlon yet, and I really don't know how to swim quite yet, but I'd like to buy a bike." And he said, "Okay, come sit down with me for a while."
Yeah, you need to sit down and have a conversation here before we
I said, I do know how to run, and I'm a good runner. And so, he said, "Okay, we can order the bike." And so I think in December, I ordered it, or January of that year. And I got my first tri-bike. And so that was exciting to get that.
All right, we're going to flash forward now to the Ironman World Championship this year, which took place a couple of weeks ago. And so you've been working with Michelle. So what was that like for you to have Michelle's level of expertise? She has an extraordinary background.
Well, I've had some really good coaches, and Michelle's just one of the, 3 great coaches I've had. I think it was an adjustment for both of us, because I had had a coach previously who sadly passed away, and at a very young age of 48 of melanoma. So it was an adjustment period because, I was used to his workout. So when you have a coach for a long time, then you get used to. I think he wasn't as strong in the swimming area, and Michelle's very strong there, and so it was adjustment, and just a new way of looking at some different kinds of workouts, and so I think we gelled pretty quickly.
Fantastic. So, Michelle, what was it like as soon as, Natalie said, I'm going to do Ironman Kona, and you said, okay, and they're done that. All right. And she's 80. So if you were,
we had to qualify first.
Well, that was Ironman in Maryland, which is where I used to live. I did my training up there. And so I know it very well. I know exactly where you were. And you did very well. So you qualified, which means that you did the Ironman in a very decent time, clearly, making the prerequisite below 17 hours kind of thing. Okay, so we did that. Now, when you have someone who is 80, right? How do you change it up versus someone, say, who's 50 or 60? I'm thinking about recovery. Recovery time maybe is longer. What do you think?
So I don't actually think it's that much different.
Wow. Okay.
And we did some things differently for Maryland, even than her previous training. Like we instituted run walk almost entirely for long runs. I think
Jeff Galloway. Yes. That's the Jeff Galloway way to go.
It is. And we have different methods for different things, but I don't think you really had run walk in your training schedule before, if I remember correctly, Natalie. That was new.
Not as much. I didn't.
Not as much. We have 2 options. We can do the max training and get there, hurt or not at all. A side note, my friend did an interview she was trying to interview the same athlete at the men's championships, and she had to she couldn't do the interview because the 3 men that were the oldest all did not show up at the race due to illness or injury. So I'm a big believer in getting there fit and fresh instead of fit and fatigued or fit and injured, so injured that we can't even start the race. So, and we always knew that it was going to be a risky, any athlete is risky, but like, for example, I coached a 55 to 59 male to Kona, and he did run walk in Ironman Maryland that's where he qualified as well. Like this is a normal thing for most of my athletes to do run walk. So I think really the difference is there's really no difference, but Natalie and I speak through our app, not like on the phone every day, but typically 6 days a week. I check the comments and she comments every workout, and she works out most probably 29 days a month on average. So it's really an iterative process of how are we feeling? Is this good? Can we do more? Can we do less? And instead of saying like mapping out the whole year in advance, we just keep getting as much as we can do healthfully there. And we're going to have setbacks. Like we knew that there's going to be setbacks. Things are going to hurt. Things aren't going to be right. We're going to expect them instead of not to get a negative mindset, but this is not normal. But even anyone doing an Ironman is going to get sick. They're going to have vacation. They're going to have setbacks. So that's the real thing is looking at each day and saying, can we build on this? Do we need to stay here? And Natalie's really good at telling me like, hey, I think we shouldn't push this any further, or, hey, this is kind of bothering me. Let's step back a bit so that we can get as much as we can in, and then hope and pray that Natalie has the grit to do it, because the run volume really wasn't super high like she had before. Even with Maryland, I think we did a bit more. So we had to, I knew that when she got on the run course, I'm like, we got this. Like she was sitting at around 30 minutes to 15 minutes of leeway. And it got as small as 13 minutes because our little tracker tells us how much time she has. So when she saw me at mile 25, she looks at me and she goes, am I going to finish? And I'm like, you have like 15 minutes of leeway. You're good. Just don't fall down.
Girl, go get some coffee. Come on.
Raining, don't fall down the hill because there's a pretty big, Paylani's pretty steep downhill.
She was really worried that I was going to fall down that hill, I think.
And then
well, okay. Now, wait a minute. We're already in Kona. So hold on now. When we come back, all right, we're going to go to Kona. And I want to hear about each one of the swim, bike, run, sectors and what was going on there. Okay?
Okay.
The Her Podcast is sponsored by Solaray Vitamins, Minerals, and Herbs, all rooted in nature. In addition to women's multivitamins, Solaray, Solaray, is presenting the new Her Life Stages products, providing support for the menstrual years, including PMS, perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, and even libido. This integrative holistic approach has a woman's back throughout her entire life journey. To learn more about Her Life Stages, you've got options. You can run on over to your local health food store or check it out at Whole Foods, Sprouts, Amazon, or scroll over to solaray.com and use promo code HER20 for 20% off your purchase. Women, Solaray's got your back. And we're back. Okay, let's go to Kona. Now, there was some great pictures of you, Natalie, in your little, I don't know, it was sort of like an orange-red swim cap.
Oh, yes.
And you had that look on your face. And one of the things I discovered about you, the minute you told me that your major was mathematics, it's very interesting. Now, I live in the world of science. I'm a clinical investigator trained at the National Institutes of Health, so I'm up to my earlobes in science and metrics. But we tend to look at the world differently. It's like kind of black and white. It's like, oh, okay, it's 2 + 2 = 4. Let's not argue about it. And I see you as very matter of fact like that. It's very interesting. And I think that helped you. That helped your mood. That helped your determination and your focus. Because you were like, oh, okay, well, how many, I've got to get through the swim portion. So what was it like, first of all, dumping into the ocean for the first section?
I really benefited from having been there 10 times previously. So I knew that you had to go out there and tread water, which isn't a lot of fun you're trying to stay relaxed and not use too much energy, but you have to, tread water. And I positioned myself well back of the other women who were in the same wave as I was in. And And so you just, that was fine. And the gun goes off or whatever. And then, some of the women aren't moving in front of me. And I'm saying, okay, I guess I shouldn't have positioned myself right here. And so you get through that. And so it was fine. It was a very, it was rougher than I've ever had it there. So when you were going to breathe, I got a lot of water, and I read some stories. Some women really had trouble with swallowing a lot of water. Their stomachs didn't really agree with that. So, but I usually am fine with that. The next wave of younger women, it was a wave that my friend who was competing with me, she was in that wave, and they were strong swimmers. So when they came up to our wave, they kind of, were hitting us a bit, not intentionally, but so that was, I
don't know. Let's think about this for a minute. Michelle and I are like, I don't know. When I've done triathlon, it's like, watch for the feet, watch for those arms. Come on now. And so I try to see.
Ton of women are special too.
They get ugly out there. It's like,
I was disappointed because I had found somebody. It's really helpful to find somebody to draft off of. You use less energy, and I don't have to worry about sighting. So I really like to find somebody. And I had settled in really nicely. And then this next wave comes in, and she's pushing me aside. I'm saying, and my goggles are going off and everything. So I was a little bit disappointed in that because I had to, kind of regroup.
I'm dying to know what your default stroke is. I'll tell you mine. So when when you get a little tired out there, what's your default? Do you do breast?
No, I don't know how to do any of the stroke. I just learned to swim. I know how to do freestyle. So
okay, that's amazing. So Michelle, you're going to die when you hear what mine is. Are you ready? Now, I'm tall and I'm long-legged, so this won't surprise you. Side stroke.
Oh, side stroke.
Side stroke.
I can side stroke faster than most people can freestyle.
Wow.
I'm not kidding. I'm very, very fast. And the thing I like about side is I can keep watching.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I know where you are. Where's land? Heading back and forth. But I just decided to do that. I can't stand breaststroke. Of course, I know how to do it, but it just doesn't work for me. Okay, now.
Well, I don't really like when other people do a breaststroke either because their legs are going and their arms.
Oh, yeah, they're flopping all over there. They're like little froggies out there.
Do that.
So how long do you have for that first stage? Because you see, for people out there who don't know, you have to be able to make it within a certain period of time or they will not let you go onto the bike. Okay, so what's the time?
2 hours and 20 minutes.
Very good. That's what I want to know. Now, then you hopped on the bike. What was that like? Now, for everyone out there, how long did you swim for? It was 2 miles and what?
2.4.
Yeah. Okay. Now, for the bike, it's 125 miles?
112.
Oh, sorry, 112. Gave you a little extra.
All right. I wouldn't mind 125.
Neither would I. I kind of love to do it, but whatever. So you were out there for 125. Were you feeling pretty good?
12. Yes. My hamstring bothered me. So it was the only time I've ever done a bike in a race where I've had something bother me like that. So I had gone into it with a sore hamstring, and while I tried to get some therapy and do some resting, I just ran out of time to have it heal. It feels great now, but I just ran out of time.
But it didn't impede you from getting the bike done in a pretty good time, right?
Right.
Okay, and then you started to run. Now this is your comfort spot, right? The way I look at it is it's hysterical. So I look at it as what's going to kill me? That's the water. In other words, I'm a strong swimmer, but Michelle, you and I both know the grand majority of people who have real problems it's actually the water. A lot of triathletes are such strong cyclists and runners, but man, once they hit the water, it's like, and so you got to get through the water and then the bike so that, you don't go, crashing somewhere. But once you get to the run, it's like, what can happen? Trip over a stone. So once you got to the run, how'd you feel, Natalie?
I felt good because I did take it a little bit easy on the bike because I had to. I really was very good with my salt intake because I've had a lot of trouble with cramping. I did 3 races, 370.3 races, and each time I would start cramping at the beginning of the run, and I had to stop. Now I was pretty confident I'd be able to go on because I was able to work my way through that each time, but I really didn't want to cramp. So I took in a lot of salt. I drank a lot. I knew that I had to keep my muscles really, keep hydrated for my muscles, especially my tight hamstrings. So I was very, very good on the bike with nutrition. And then when I started the run, I felt great. I never felt lightheaded. I never felt weak. I didn't cramp. I just felt.
Are you from another planet? I'm just asking, Natalie. I mean, seriously, I just got through doing 112 miles. You just did 2 miles in the ocean, and now you're going to do a full marathon.
But I trained for it. I've trained.
There you go. Michelle's wagging her finger. It's like, if you're prepared.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's go right to the final finish. Now I told you this, right? That when I saw the video of how the whole thing ended, if you had just sort of trotted through going, oh, look, and, your arms up like, oh, look at me, like I finished. And there you go. See, your arms are up. And no, that's not what happened. Something else happened, and it affected me and all of my colleagues so much. We all felt the same way. So tell us exactly what happened. There's the big archway, where it's like the finish line, and you've got a big carpet that is what we call the computer carpet. It's where they, sync with the little computer chip that you're wearing so that they know exactly your time and, that you finished it appropriately, et cetera. So here you were, you're beginning to ascend a little bit of a hill up to the arch. What happened?
Yeah, I don't even, Michelle, do you know is that the final timing chip?
I think the chip is actually right under the arch, I think, or right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
She hit right where it meets the ground. There's a little bit of a lip sometimes. So
okay. So I didn't really have to run from that point on. Like I ran to.
She could have crawled that would have been like old school.
Well, people have done this. No.
The good news was neither her daughter nor I saw her fall because we were at an angle that we weren't directly onto the arch. We were like off to the side. So we just were waiting for her. My husband was the volunteer that caught her, the one in the orange shirt that if you saw the videos, like came and gave her a towel. He saw it and he's like, yeah, she fell, no biggie. And I'm like, I'm glad we didn't see it because we would have been stressed out from the fall.
Yeah.
Well, for everyone out there, right? So here comes Natalie. She's got a little black sport bra. She's got the little running shorts. She's rocking the little, sport hat. She's looking pretty good. She's like, oh my gosh. And I was watching her. And then she trips. I mean, we're talking face plant. And this was, whoa. And she went down and I could see she was stunned. She was like, well, wait a minute. I'm supposed to be vertical. What am I doing eating the computer carpet? What is happening here? And then my perception was you just kind of looked annoyed like, what the hell? And I'm going to kill the idiot who kept a little extra something going on here in the carpet, a little bump here. They should have smoothed this sucker out for me. Yeah, that's right. And I'm going to find out who it is. And you've got that look on your face that said, okay. And then you just got right up, literally dusted off your ass and got right up and went through the arch. If you hadn't done that, I think it would have all been phenomenal and everything. It's just that's what made it memorable, that your determination, your focus, everything about you, it was just sort of like one big package of resilience, just showed up all at one time. And then across the archway you went. How did you feel, Natalie, when all that happened?
Well, I was still a little surprised with that fall. It just surprised me. As a matter of fact, my next race, I'm going to really check out the finish and see if they have a little hill there again. And how you learn from your mistakes. I'm going to be very careful if I ever have one of those little hills with carpeting again. But anyway, I was just, it took something. I know you say it added to it, but it took something away from me a little bit because it was just a little embarrassing, I have to say. But, then I was just thrilled Cherie was so sweet and generous there at the finish line and hugging me. And Michelle's husband was putting the towel around me. And I was just so thrilled that I had, achieved this goal. And it hadn't been, I just didn't feel, I never felt bad during the race. I just had a really good experience for the race. So it wasn't like I was coming in all crooked and funny. I fell, but I just always felt strong. You think sometimes you look at your running picture and you say, oh, you're a little hunched over, but I didn't feel that way.
What are people thinking? And what are people asking you about right now? Because here we are a couple weeks out now, and, you've gotten a whole host of outreach, for interviews, including yours truly. And my colleagues at the American College of Sports Medicine are like all ears. And because we want to say, what is her secret? What is going on? So what are the kind of questions that are being asked of you right now? What are people mostly fascinated with you?
I mean, they ask the same questions and talk about the same things that you have, and I think that people really look at it as a inspiration and a message to others. To if you haven't started moving, then maybe it's a good idea to do that, and that you're not too old as long as there's nothing physically that. That stops you, that it's good to move and to find something that you really enjoy, that you'll go back to the next day, not something that you don't like. If you don't like running, then don't run, but you might like some other sport, whether it's just fast walking or golf or pickleball or, whatever it is to move. And I think that's the message that people like. I think that I don't feel 80. I think these numbers are kind of crazy. You don't have to really pay attention to them.
Amen.
I felt so good, with coaches' help this year doing my races. I didn't really, while I knew Kona was important, I don't like to put all my eggs in one basket type of thing. I'd never like to do that. In life, I don't like to do that. It puts too much pressure on me for one thing. So I went into each race as an important part of my season. And I loved each of the races I did, and I was proud of how I did in each of the races. And that all contributed to me being strong for this race, mentally and physically. And one thing Michelle said that I'm not sure, it's not totally true, but she said when I had my hamstring issue, she said, on race day, you're going to race with your brain. And I think there's so much to be said about that. You have to have had the training. Of course, you can't just go out and race with your brain. But if you've got that under your belt and you've got strength and confidence in that, then it is a very mental kind of day, that Ironman day.
No question about it. And I can't agree with you more, Michelle. Racing with your brain is absolutely where it's at. And as we close this up, I mean, I want to talk to you forever. But, Natalie, you and I have become BFFs. So, we'll be talking. But here's the thing. All right. So as you know, Michelle, because you live in this world, you're an expert, you're a coach to amazing people who've done incredible accomplishments. And so what I hear about so often is like, there's got to be this golden strategy, going to stick to it. And you're going to be doing this and that. And so when I asked Natalie about her nutrition, okay, so I said, so is there some magical thing? Do you do like a wild and crazy smoothie in the morning, all greens and, whatever? And I'm sorry. This is just so great because I'm writing my next book and this is going right in it. And it's just spectacular. She goes, well, I wake up in the morning, I have my Cheerios. I said, excuse me? You have what? She said, Cheerios. And if I don't want that, then sometimes I get frosted mini bites. Okay, that was it. Okay, you got me at the Cheerios and then the frost. And then I said, well, wait a minute. Well, what do you eat all day? I don't know. It's what works for me. So I feel hungry right now. I'm going to put a little peanut butter on some toast. And then I'm going to do maybe, the chicken from yesterday for lunch, throw in some vegetables. And I eat about 5 times a day because I train so much and da-da-da. But there wasn't like this really rigid, strict, do it this way and make yourself crazy thing. And I just so honor that because I think that some people are going off the deep end with just getting a little too crazy. Just be yourself and listen to your body and, kind of listen to what works for you. Does that make sense, Natalie?
Yeah, that's what makes sense for me. Now, I respect anybody that has a different
of course.
message.
Absolutely.
But,
There's room for everybody.
And
no
I want
question.
to say I put blueberries on my Cheerios. So
Absolutely. You get those blueberries on the Cheerios. So that's good. The final piece, Michelle, and I want your thoughts on this one. So, I'm a strength trained athlete. I've done triathlon and I'm a kettlebell girl. So I'm all about, lifting. And so I said to Natalie, so how long have you been lifting? Natalie is a slender, beautiful, endurance trained athlete. So, 5'3" and probably, like a ridiculously amazing weight and the low body fat and all the rest of it. Okay, fine. So then I asked her about weight training and this is what she said. She said, well, it's kind of interesting. When I was doing Maryland, I just sort of felt a little weak in the arms. She's just feeling herself. And she said, well, maybe, I reached out and they said, maybe you should lift some weight at the age of what? It was like 78 or 9?
79.
79, you start lifting weight. Oh, God. Michelle, talk to me.
So we did a what I call a limiter assessment at the end of last season. Remember that, Natalie? After the Ironman.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're like, okay, Maryland, she did in 15:53, which was amazing considering she had a flat tire and she had to, it's a whole other story, but she had to wade through waist high water because of tidal water issues with the race that day with high tides, like on the roads. The roads were waist high in water. So we wanted to make sure she could get every limiter addressed that we could so that we have the best chance of finishing. Because last time was 16:47 when she was 77. So we knew weather was going to be a big factor, but we wanted to fix, everything. And there's been a bicep issue, an arm issue for a couple years. It's not going to resolve itself. But I said, how about she goes to Lifetime. Let's find you a really good trainer there that you can work with once a week to get some focused strength training in. So Eddie is her strength coach now, and we added that in at the end of last year, and I think it's helped. So it's been good. And many triathletes are very resistant to strength training. Funnily enough, I was just on a call with my USA Triathlon Level 3, which is the high level coaches, and ASCM was mentioned several times as we were talking about strength training, literally the call before this. And it's something that we're always struggling as coaches to get athletes to do because they're already busy doing 3 sports plus mindset plus nutrition and getting to all the sports. So Natalie adding that, I think, was a huge benefit to build her strength up for a difficult race. So
absolutely amazing. Here, I think that strength training, as I am a triathlete as well, but certainly nothing like Natalie. I mean, it's kind of I'm so far away. But I've always found strength training incredibly helpful for me, especially for my legs and biking, for instance, and for my running, the same thing. Just keeping the upper body really strong as well. But how interesting is that? So I just cannot thank you both enough for being on the show. Michelle, amazing. How do people find out about your training, coaching?
Probably Instagram is the easiest way. It's at Coach Michelle Lake or at 53 Racing, but Michelle Lake's easier. It's easy to spell. Coach Michelle Lake is the easiest way to find me.
And Lake is Lake.
Yes,
And
it's
Natalie, you're going to race again and again and again. And you already have it on your schedule. And for you just keep the party going.
Okay.
And I want everyone out there to just take notice. This is the way you do it, folks. Unbelievable. We'll have more. Natalie, if you don't mind, and Michelle, we'll have you back on again as what we love to call repeat offenders. You just keep showing up and you just keep sharing more wisdom and insights for all of us. What a gift. What a priceless gift. And Natalie and Michelle, congratulations to both of you for the incredible teamwork that you did. Amazing. All right. All I can tell you is thank you. And I just want to thank my sponsor. Oh my gosh. So Solaray vitamins, minerals, and herbs rooted in nature and the new Her Life Stages products. I want you to scope it all out at Solaray.com because Natalie said she takes multivites. Got to take those multivites. You better believe it. And now take a moment and leave us a review because we love to hear from you. This has been a production of Podcast Health. And remember, your time in this world may be limited, but the things you can do with that time, like Natalie, are not. Get on out there and seize the day. Thanks for listening, everyone.